Let's break down the latest now with retired General Tom Lawson. He's the former Chief of Defense Staff for the Canadian Armed Forces and former Deputy Commander of NORAD. General Lawson, always good to see you. Thanks for making the time.
Thanks for having me.
I wanted to start off just with the fact that this video was released. It's pretty fascinating to watch it. How were you surprised at all that the Pentagon did release it, and what does it tell you?
No, I'm not surprised. I think the Americans are playing a very strong hand here, and this is another nail in the coffin of Russian credibility. When I first heard about this drone being brought down after dumping gas on it, I was curious. After seeing this startling footage, I realized these tactics were simply ridiculous, and it leaves us with a requirement to speculate on what on earth the Russians were thinking in carrying this out.
And why do you think you called it a strong hand? Why do you think the Americans wanted to play that strong hand right now?
Well, the Americans are flying this drone over international waters in airspace they're allowed to fly. They were doing absolutely nothing illegal. They had an eye in the sky there that the Russians knew was there. And so for the Russians to launch, to intercept and identify it is fine. But then to harass it is on the verge of illegality, and then to take a step to dump fuel on it and eventually to bring it down is entirely illegal. So as I say, certainly these pilots were acting with the authority of at least the air defense commander, but probably all the way up the chain to the very highest. And then we're left with the requirement of figuring out why Putin or those under his authority would have allowed it.
Yeah, and I wonder from that perspective, look, both the Americans and Russians have been careful not to directly engage since this war started. Obviously, the line of what the U.S. and allies supply Ukraine has evolved quite significantly over the last year, but they've been careful to avoid exactly this. How significant do you think it is, and what do you read into Russia?
Well, I actually don't think it's all that significant. I'll tell you why. You're exactly right. Friends treat each other well out of respect and friendship. Superpower adversaries treat each other very well for a very different reason. That is that they don't want any actions to be misinterpreted, leading to bloodshed or conflagration. So I think in this case, what we have to do is try and figure out why would the Russians risk this. And I think when you zoom out and realize how Putin is feeling and his entire system of authority, and actually most of the Russian population who rely on state media for their information, they actually believe that they're at war already with the U.S. and with NATO, and in a way they are. If not for the leadership of the Americans and the generosity of countries from NATO like our own, it's likely Ukraine would have folded long ago. So the hundreds, even thousands of Russians being lost each week are pretty much as a direct result of NATO actions led by the U.S. So Russia is left with very few levers to pull, and this stick in the eye, I think, is kind of a reflection of that despair.
Let me just ask you before I let you go on that very subject, General Lawson, that ever-evolving line of what allies are willing to supply Ukraine. Poland is now given the green light to supply fighter jets, and they had previously been very insistent that they wanted that to be a more allied approach. What do you read into that?
Well, you're right. I mean, we'll remember about a year ago now, the Polish agreed to give them their entire fleet of MiG-29s, but they threw a caveat in there that reflected the times, and that was the Polish didn't want to be seen to be the first NATO country giving fighter jets to Ukraine. So they said they'd have to go through an American base called Ramstein in Germany. That caught the Americans by surprise, and the whole thing sort of shut down until now. And I think this, certainly the Ukrainians will be happy for these 4 jets and soon to be more coming across the border. They aren't very important to the Polish air defense anymore anyway. But more to the point, I think it signals the changed times and how comfortable NATO is feeling now that these lines have moved to be more and more aggressively in support of Ukraine in all types of equipment, tanks, and now fighter jets.
Okay, General Lawson, I'll leave it there. Appreciate your analysis as always.
Thank you.